Welcome to Step to the Phone. I am very excited today for our special guest. We've got Sisanda, and Sisanda, I have to say, oh, I owe her so much because my journey of the African Queens, she is part of that journey, and she was there on the first day. She came to sing at the launch event of the African Queens, so I am ever so grateful for her, and we've also done some project together in the meantime. So I'm really excited to speak to Sisanda today. Sisanda, welcome, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this journey that you're going on at the moment with African Queens. I think it's the natural evolution for the project to be on the media platform, and I can't wait to see where it's gonna go. You know what, Crystal? Do you realize that at the African Queens concert that you put on, that was my first gig in Bristol when I'd officially moved. So I have a lot to thank you for, actually, because you put me on the map, girl.
Oh, you were already on the map, because actually I saw you perform at, I think it was Colston Hall at the time with Project Zulu. I think
Mankala,
it was. Yeah, in Mankala. And I saw you and I was like, I need to find out who this woman is. And I was just frantically going online looking for your name. And eventually that's why I contacted you, probably thinking, oh, who's this crazy woman trying to track me down? Because I thought you were in Bristol. So that's why I tried to track you down, thinking, oh, there's a really great singer in Bristol. I need to speak to her. And then realize you're in South Africa, but the universe conspire, you are actually coming back. So,
the timing was perfect, because when you first saw me performing in Colston Hall, I was on a cultural exchange sort of, I raised funds basically to get to Bristol because I wanted to do a tour around the UK, and I managed to also just this amazing connection I had with Mankala at that time, is that they were looking for a singer, and then we just ended up doing a tour in the UK, and I got absorbed into their tour, which was amazing. And I got married and decided to make Bristol my home. So around the time you had contacted me, I was making a very brave decision to leave home and to move to the UK and to move to Bristol. And it's been an incredible journey, just learning more about myself and just reflecting on who I've become, because we get influenced by our environment, don't we? Is that this African woman being implanted, but also culturally displacing myself as an African woman, being in a inverted commas European space. And, you know, it hasn't always been easy. But one has to try and reflect and try and see the positivity. Is that now I've seen this as an opportunity also to expose people to African culture, expose people to African music that, you know, perhaps before they might have not been aware of. And as an African queen, I've taken it upon myself, my responsibility to share the joy of African culture, and to share the great vastness and beauty of African culture within the space. But yeah, it's still a journey.
Yes, you are doing it, and I know you are just so amazing. But for our audience who don't really know who Sisanda is, can you take us from the beginning? Where were you born? What have you been doing when you started your career? What have you been doing since you've been in the UK? Tell us all about it.
I'm going to try and keep it quite brief, because that's going to be a long story. I was born in a place called Umtata, which is in the southwest coast of South Africa. I actually have a memory in my mind of, at the age of 7 years old, I was chaperoned by my aunt, and we had to hitchhike to boarding school because we didn't own a car. So from a very tender young age, I've been traveling really, and I've lived in so many cities all over South Africa. Tata, King Williamstown, East London, Port Elizabeth, I've lived in Cape Town, I've lived in Johannesburg. So I think from a very early age, it was clear that I was never going to be a person who was going to stick in one place. I think I'm too curious. I'm a natural adventurer, you know. So the last city I was living in was Cape Town, before I moved to Bristol. I was growing up in a very important time in South Africa by virtue of the fact that our first Black president was elected in 1994. In terms of Black people being allowed to cast a vote, because before they weren't allowed to cast a vote. So I am a product of a society that was legally separated by virtue of apartheid. If you were a white person and a Black person, you weren't allowed to live in the same spaces, you weren't allowed to marry, you weren't allowed to be in the same community. And because of a group at the time called the ANC, who fought for freedom, as a society, we came together. And I'm a product of a society that decided to move past the hurts and to come together and build a unified nation. So I try to, in my work, in my art, I'm a jazz singer, I try to encourage people to see beyond the flesh, for people to move towards the heart of a person and to see the goodness within any other human being. And I think that growing up in a society where we opted for reconciliation when we could have had a war, we decided to look beyond that and look towards the goodness of the human heart, which is, I think, also filters into what I believe a queen is, stepping up to that responsibility to create a society that can heal itself, and I think our greatest responsibility is to make sure that we don't hurt people, that we are a force for good, over and above anything else.
Yeah. And what have you been doing since coming to the UK?
Since coming to the UK, I think I thought that automatically I could become a full-time musician. And that in and of itself has been a challenge. I am moving more and more these days towards being an artist full-time. I've dabbled in a lot of different industries, which I cannot to mention because the most important one is my artistic journey. I've for instance, I used to work for a company that used to, the traditional milkman in the UK. So basically, they employed. I've just stuffed up the question because I'm trying to.
No, but I think this is actually a reflection of the journey of many artists in the Western world. It's, you have to, on top of your artistic, what's your passion and where your heart is, you have to also get involved in.
We need to eat as well.
Yeah, exactly. The jobs that we might not be interested in, but we've got bills and we've got other things to deal with, and the creative stuff is not always taken so seriously, I think, sometimes. So we're not getting paid what we are worth, and that makes it really difficult. So I completely understand. I was interested to find out, were you in South Africa when Nelson Mandela got freed? And if you were.
I was in South Africa, but I was 2 years old.
Right, okay. I was going to ask, do you remember at all any of that? But yeah, 2 years old probably. No. Does your family talk about it? How does a South African talk about it? How are they feeling about it now? It was such a big event, and when I met some South Africans before who were there at the time, it's such a big impact in their life. So how does your family
Yeah.
talk about it?
Yeah. I mean, I think I was very protected because I didn't have the experiences of segregation, of living in a segregated society. In actual fact, I feel that I had my first experiences of living in a segregated society when I moved to Bristol. My family does talk about the times during apartheid. It was generally a time of a great deal of hardship for the Black society. And I was really lucky because the time that I was growing up in, it was more and more opportunities were being given to people of color within South Africa. Also because of the fact that we are 70% of the population, it would not have boded well for the government at the time to continually suppress 70% of the population. It had to give at some point. So we've had a great deal of responsibility as South Africans to build, a nation of togetherness. But I think it's human nature that sometimes self-interest over the collective interest does tend to overtake, and I think there's a great deal of frustration that the South African people are experiencing at the moment. I mean, I'm a South African, I'm sitting in the UK, because I wasn't able to art successfully. Unfortunately, the creative industry is not as well formalized as it might be in these spaces, aka UK or perhaps in Europe. So it is still a challenge for people to make art full time, which is why we find ourselves in these spaces. But I think we are still on a journey of healing. We're still on a journey of repairing as a collective South African body. It helps if a government can come on board to see that take place. But yeah, we are still on our journey, I would say.
Right. So coming back to you, did you always knew you wanted to be a singer?
I see singing as a calling. My great grandfathers are famous choral composers in South Africa. And I didn't know this until my grandmother told me a couple of years ago, BB and JJ Nyataza. I feel that I want to try and express this the best way possible so you can understand is I don't feel that I chose music. I believe that it chose me, and that it was a gift that was passed down from my ancestors, from my great grandfathers to me.
Wow.
And I spoke earlier on about responsibility. I am currently on my journey in understanding the responsibility of my gift, because for a long time I saw my gift as a bit of a burden. It's like, oh, I don't want to sing. When your heart is heavy and there are things that pain you, that pain and bring down your spirit, you are not in the mood to entertain or do you know what I mean? But I've chosen that I've been called to it. I've realized that it's the one thing that can heal me in actual fact when I'm having those moments, when I'm down in the dumps or whatever it might be. And I'm just really excited because I found a new relationship with my gift. I'm starting to interact with it in a different way because it gives me life, and it's a symbiotic relationship. And I've realized how, during the first lockdown, it was musicians who were giving people hope, musicians who were entertaining people and helping them forget about, one could feel the despair and the uncertainty in the air, but it was musicians who were giving people life and hope. And what a powerful gift to have, and to also realize the responsibility of that gift and how to use it, is that it's not about fame, it's about healing and bringing people together.
Wow, that's really amazing. And I think this is really coming to my next question really nicely, because you've you realize who you are, what your gifts are. And a lot of people out there have not even managed to get to that point yet. And I think that's where the meaning of a queen comes alive, because you really, really understand your purpose and your calling and your gift. So that is really, really amazing to see and to hear. And I completely see it. I mean, every time I see you perform, you are just there. I don't even know how to explain it, but you are so embraced in your gift. And yeah, it's really amazing to see. And I'm always mesmerized every time I see you perform. So my next question was, because you are so aware of all this gift and purpose, how do you define what the meaning to be a queen? You know, I think people generally take it too very lightly, what's that word mean? Oh, I'm a queen. But actually there is, and you talk about responsibility, I think there's some responsibility behind that word. So I'm quite curious to find out what your meaning of the word queen is.
Yeah. I'm really lucky because I have been exposed to, like, for me, I suppose traditionally, a queen is maternal. And I was raised by my grandmother. She was the matriarch in the family. And to this day, you know, we honor her. So for me, I've written a few points down. A queen is warm. A queen approaches situations with compassion. A queen knows that she has strength, but doesn't exert her strength unfairly upon others. And that's the responsibility that I mentioned in the beginning. A queen is aware that she has influence, but again, with responsibility comes great power, and you have influence, and try to use your influence for good and to be a light, to illuminate the spaces, to give life. That a queen is a creator, a life giver, so that wherever you go, wherever you step your foot, wherever, you know, your crown lands, make sure that you are always giving life, and that you are compassionate, and that you are warm. And that's what I think a queen is and should be.
Definitely. Oh, thank you for that. And which queen or what powerful woman out there have you been getting inspiration from, or you keep admiring, either they alive or passed away or imaginary, or any female figure that has inspired you in your life?
Okay. I cheated, Crystal. I chose 3.
Oh,
Okay.
3.
I've got 3, but I promise you I'll be brief, and I'll go through.
By the way, for the audience who are not there, I think Sisanda was so nervous before coming to this that she asked a few questions. What are you going to ask me? So I'm kind of giving a couple of questions as a pointer, so she's prepared. So that's why she's got 3. Go on, I'm ready to listen. Tell us.
Okay. Okay, so my first one, the world knows her as Winnie Madikizela Mandela, but she is Nomzamo Winifred Zanyiwe Madikizela. She was, she passed on recently. She was the mother of the nation, an anti-apartheid activist and freedom fighter. She was Nelson Mandela's second wife. She was a deputy minister of arts and culture, served on the ANC National Executive Committee. I admire her because of her valor, her grace, her unyielding passion for justice, and she was a revolutionary woman. She said that women are going to bring about the revolution, and she's the reason why international countries got involved in terms of the fight for freedom for the Black population in South Africa. So that was my first queen. My second queen is Erykah Badu.
We share the same birthday.
We share the lovers. Oh, you have a birthday with Erica Badu.
Yeah, we've got the same birthday.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's absolutely
The
incredible.
Pisces power.
Yeah, prices, but I absolutely adore Erica Badu. And even before I knew where she was from, before Google was a thing, I've always gravitated towards her because I feel like she's so in tune with herself. And I love her artistic flair, and she makes absolutely no apologies for who she is.
Exactly.
And
I was going to say that, and I do love her for that.
yeah, I absolutely adore that. So if I were to choose one artist out of all the, for me, she's it. And then my final one is Queen Nefertiti, who was born in Egypt. Her name means the beautiful one has come. She was a political revolutionary. She was a queen, a high priestess, a wife, and a mother. And the reason why I've picked her is because her reign was at a time of tremendous cultural upheaval, and she was an equal with her husband, Akhenaten. And I chose her because we are living in a time of great change, and it's very, very exciting. We're living through a cultural paradigm shift. And again, responsibility is that to take up that responsibility is that I choose to perpetually evolve. I'm going to change myself so I can help change the world or help change my immediate environment. And I think it's so important for us to wake up to that and to take ownership of that and to participate in the change. It's not going to happen with us going, oh, well, how do I? Well, so-and-so is, we need to step up to the throne and take that responsibility and move it forward for the generations that are to come.
Wow, that's very free, powerful woman. Yeah, and I love that you've got Erica Badu there because I really admire her very much.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my ultimate inspiration is actually from your country, so I have to mention it. Miriam Makeba, and I love Miriam. I mean, I love her voice, but I also love the way she portrayed the African woman. She was never afraid to wearing African clothes, the African hairstyle, and also all her involvement with the Black Power in America with her husband at the time. All the work. She left South Africa most of her life because of her belief. And I mean, she was. I just love her.
She was Yeah, there's so many. I mean, absolutely. Miriam Makeba was a cultural ambassador and a cultural icon in terms of the way that she introduced. She was one of the very first who introduced African rhythms, African costumes. People had no idea. And I guess there's a similarity in the sense that I understand what it's like to live in South Africa, and I understand what it's like not to live in South Africa. And how it takes great bravery to be able to stay true when you are the only one in many spaces who looks like you. Do you know what I mean by that? So I commend her. Her absolutely. But why wouldn't we? Why is it? My question is why is it such a big deal when an African woman expresses herself in her true essence? Which this should be how it is, really. And I think we need more people being brave enough to show themselves in their natural essence, that we can, get young people to instill pride in younger people as well.
Definitely. So in terms of your journey, what has been the opportunity, but also I think you've talked about some of the challenges, but what has been opportunity, but also the challenges in your career, and how did you maybe grab onto this opportunity, or how did you overcome the challenges throughout your career?
I mean, I must say, my most recent experience with the group Sango that I'm working with in France, it's just so touching for me how receptive that space has been to our work. And I've performed in South Africa, performed in the UK, Ireland, and France as well. And there's just a level at which the French public engages with art that I've never seen anywhere else, and it makes me so excited and it gives me life.
I did watch your performance on Arte. I grew up in France watching Arte, and I saw you there, and I was like, "Oh my God, she has made it!" I was so excited for you watching that performance, and just really, really amazing. And I was just so proud. I'm like, I know her. She's on TV. No,
thank you.
Really,
thank you.
Yeah.
But just how I hope that for every single brown skinned girl up, out there, that they see themselves in me and they feel that, I am represented. If she can, and I made a purposeful point to not have any break. I couldn't, actually, my hair was too short. I don't have any hair. I'm in my natural essence, like your Maria Makebas, is that, I can stand on that stage, and take up space as my authentic self. And I just hope that instills bravery in other young girls who look like me, that they can too, and they can kill wherever they want to be, wherever they want to go. They absolutely can do that too. So that's probably been the most important opportunity for me, because it's just such a powerful platform, and playing with the Songo group has just been, it's just next level stuff.
And I know you've done some TV presenting in South Africa, so that must have been again another big opportunity at the time.
You've done your research.
I do.
So I have
to. I do.
Because I'm trying to, but like you keep bringing
I've been trying to get it out from you from the beginning, but it's not coming. So tell us how that opportunity came.
I was working in my last year of university, I was working for a community TV station. We were one of the first, actually, because they'd built a satellite station. A production company based in Johannesburg decided to. And a national TV show on the equivalent of BBC was looking for a regional representative. And I was, what's the fancy word, sort of when you are picked up? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, you were
sort of headhunted, I guess.
Oh, you were headhunted. Okay, right.
Yeah, and then I started to appear on the national platform, which was a massive deal, because Granny's going, "Oh my God, you're on TV!" And it just grew and grew and grew from there. I used to appear like on a weekly basis, and then just before I left South Africa, I was actually in the peak of my television career. I was named what's the name? New Power Search presenter, but I was appearing consistently on television. And it was really sad to leave that behind. Really
that's quiet. Why are you keeping that quiet? It's such a big part of who you are.
I'm not keeping it quiet. I feel that I haven't been able to access the same opportunities in this space. And I was told that I needed to go for elocution classes. I suspected that I would need to wear a weave to appear on the TV platforms that I wanted to appear on. And I think by the time that I'd moved to the space, I had decided that I was going to be uncompromising about my African identity. And that can cause its own issues. But I think these days we're so lucky, we've got so many tools that you can own your own media brand.
Yeah.
And I am actually working on a project at the moment, which I'm so excited about. It's not just going to be about me, but it's going to be about shining a spotlight on Black society within Bristol. So I'm really excited to
I'm
start
looking
that.
forward to this.
very
She's
soon.
back, and the queen is back. She's at full power, and I'm excited to see what's coming up. 2021 is going to be big, definitely.
It has to be, because 2020 forced us to rest, and there was an importance in that resting, because then we can reflect and then we can be rejuvenated, so we can do the work that we need to do.
Oh, great. So any TV production out there, this is your queen. This is your queen. That's what I'm saying. This is your queen.
Oh, bless you.
And just quickly, I know you talk about it, but how do you normally come through challenges? I mean, challenges is part of everybody's life, I guess, in a way, but what's your technique of trying not to be taken down too much by those challenges? How do you overcome them?
Yeah. I'm on a journey as well. I'm still learning to master myself, learning what my needs are and when to listen, listening to that voice within. We've come with an inbuilt thermometer that tells you, not there, I've got a tattoo on my forehead, my intuition. I listen to my intuition. And also, I've found now that there's a little clip I've found on YouTube of an Afro dance session. If I put that music on, it's over. It doesn't matter who said what to me. It doesn't matter who, rejected my application for whatever. When I put that music on, it's game time, and it just rejuvenates my inbuilt, warrior. When I dance, it's just something else. And I've recently discovered the power of dance. And I mean, it's something I used to do naturally back home. We'd always be at parties. We get into a circle.
That's the African way.
we start clapping, and then each one is showing their skills on the dance floor. And that's, I come from the beauty of that kind of culture. So I've recently reconnected with that, and it just gives me so much strength. Just listening to music and dancing, I find really rejuvenates me and helps me find a different way of dealing with challenges.
I mean, that is really interesting, because I think we are in a society where we forget actually to listen to our intuition and go in. We tend to go outside. We want to be validated by the other person outside of us, but actually very often those people are probably as broken as us, and their validation is not actually helping in any way. It does actually take us away from our own path, and I've certainly been on that journey, and I am still learning to try to listen a little bit more to my intuition. So I feel that definitely. That's great. Right, I'm not going to take too much of your time, so I think I'm going to wrap up with one final question, maybe two, because I know you mentioned about having the younger people out there, younger, to see you and they feel represented. So I wanted to know, what piece of advice would you say to those little girls right now who's listening to you and seeing you perform? What would you say to them?
I wrote a little something down here that my advice for a young person is to learn to master their own voice. I mean, the sooner you can do so, it bodes well for you, just because you won't be led astray by your external environment. the sooner you learn to master yourself and to hear your voice, and if there's anything externally that is incongruent with your internal stratosphere, for lack of a better way of putting it, then then that it's not for you. And what a powerful force to utilize to help you make decisions is because this is not my space. And it saves you a lot of challenges. It saves you a lot of pain when you learn what is best for you.
Yeah. Wow, that is a really powerful advice, and I totally agree. I mean, I wish someone told me this when I was in my 50s, my teenagehood, especially when I was trying to find out who I was. And, it took me probably maybe in my 30s I started listening to that voice, but still I wasn't listening properly. I could hear it, but I was still going to the other side. Because like, just what is that?
Because we try to fit in. I guess we live in a society where we feel like we need to impress Joe Soap, but then sometimes it's at the expense of ourselves, and you should never be doing anything that's at the expense of your happiness or for your health.
And I definitely agree that you will save so much pain. And because along the journey, it's so do listen to your instinct. It's very, very important to anybody who needs that kind of advice. I think that's the number one for me too. It's the number one advice, really. And my final question, because I know when I said it was my final, but and you've already answered it, I suppose, but what is next for Sisanda? I know you've got that project coming up, but in terms of singing and maybe, what's next for you? And where can you find you? Where can people follow you as well?
I am continuing on my journey of self-mastery, because I believe that from that point, that's where all the things that are meant for me will come. I am currently working on an EP, actually, a solo EP. There's some songs that have been needing to come out for a long time now. And I'll be continuing to work with Songo. I absolutely adore the project and what it stands for, the power of someone from South Africa, from France, from Burkina Faso, all speaking different languages, but able to make music together and be brothers and sisters unified in one space is such a beautiful thing. You can find me, it's at officially Sisanda. Sisanda spelled Sisanda. That's my those are my handles across all platforms. And watch out for Songo music as well, because that's really exciting. And it's at SONGO with a little dash.
Yeah.
Boom!
Because last time I wrote it, I didn't put the dash, and you reminded me.
Gotta have the dash, man. That's our thing. That's our thing.
Oh, wow. I've actually got a little favor to ask you.
You're not going to ask me to sing. You better not ask me to sing. Because I will fight you, Christelle.
I love it. I love you don't even have to sing, just a line. The clicking song in your voice. Oh my God, I don't know, it's taking me to a different place.
You know what? I'm going to throw it back at you, is that I'm going to teach you how to say a word in Xhosa, right?
Oh my God, that's going to be...
Because the clicks are part of the language. So let's not isolate and say the clicks, it's part of a language, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I'm going to teach you the word for, it means hero, heroine, or warrior in Xhosa, right?
So part of the queens as well. The queens.
Yeah, so
right.
exactly.
Right, I'm gonna try. Let's do this.
So what you would do is you squeeze your tongue at the top, the roof of your mouth.
Okay.
And the word is ikawe.
Oh my God.
You're squeezing your tongue, the roof of your
all the
mouth.
time.
You've got to see that line underneath the ikawe.
I can't even keep my tongue there.
Ihawe.
So do you keep your tongue there all the time, or then when
No,
you
not all the time. When you say, so it's, the word is spelled Iqhawe. So
Yeah.
it's Ihawe.
Okay. So it's only when you do the Q that
There we go.
you've got, okay. Wait, I can't do that.
You know what it is? You know what it is? I have
I'm gonna practice in the
I
mirror.
have the advantage of practicing for 32 years of my life. So I'm gonna call you every now and then, and we'll practice together until we've done
I'm gonna write it down now so I can practice, and I'm probably gonna be Googling it on YouTube. I'm sure someone out there will say, "Oh, you might have to send me a video so I
No
can
problem.
practice."
No problem. Maybe I should start doing little videos to teach my friends as well, so I can speak
I
with
think
them.
that would be really good. Thank you so much. That's been a really amazing conversation. So thank you for
Thank you
coming.
for
I really
having
appreciate it.
me.
And looking forward to your next project, and speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Take care and be blessed.
Thank you.